The time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett?
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
Chat.
like, people don't get it. If I get executed, I'm leaving the game.
Chat.
You're
Chat.
not getting execution. You would never get the execution on me ever again in your life. Nigga. I'm leaving the game. Simple.
Enemy personnel in the hardpoint.
Oh.
Enemy is securing Alpha. In the area.
Simple.
Simple.
That's simple. You're not getting that. You're never going to get the execution. It's that simple.
Let's just get to the point, okay? The point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your
And-
Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system
6 million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that.
Point doesn't let her
policy.
talk, brother. This isn't a debate, okay? Where it's guys. We're gonna let him ramble about some dog shit. The man asks a question, she doesn't answer. Okay, you get muted, you get trolled, you get skamazed. Of course, it's kind of shitty because they get ambushed or whatever like that, right? But at the same time, I gotta be honest with you. You gotta give it to the guy. If you're not gonna answer my question, I'm gonna give you the answer, and we'll move on to the next question. How is that hard? But if I ask you how are you doing, and you give me the fucking recipe for brownies, I'm going next. I'm going next. She wasn't mid-answer. You gotta ask for a number. She gave him a story. What are you on about?
Released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
And now he's
and
annoying.
I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done
Yes, ma'am.
as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs,
Six-
guns, and human beings. And
six
Donald Trump,
Democrats-
but let me just finish.
six
And
Democrats
Donald
voted
Trump
against that bill.
learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election,
I really want to get to the bottom of this thing, guys. That bill, guys. I think if this is fully true, then that's fine. That's what it is. Then Trump is wrong, Republicans are wrong, and fuck all of them. That's brain dead. Unless it's because they wanted to do a better bill, or they had a better plan, or something better to do. If they didn't have anything better to do, then I think that as a temporary incentive, probably better. So the dumb fuck.
this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
Six
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed one.
Dude, low-key, I might just put 10 mil on the poly market on fucking on Kamala. Low-key. I don't think Trump's winning this shit.
1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the six Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted.
Whether 60%, 60%, the odds are 6-4. Oh man, bro, I take that at any day. At 10 mil, I think I win that. Bro, for Trump, this is gonna win. Hold on. Did they have it on stick or not? Hold on. Bro, that's a 2.3x. 2.3x.
And killed by some of the men who
play
were
market. How much would that
released
be?
at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those
I think it's
families
really- I think
an
it-
apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future
I saw the odds 2.30x or
would
2.40.
occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungari's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration...
Okay, I gotta be honest. What's up? Yeah, I got you. Guys, I don't believe that ambushing the interview with some one-off person, aka an anecdote when it comes to statistics, is productive for anybody. I think it's pretty. I think it's kind of useless. Sorry, guys. The Republicans have been doing this for fucking months now. Okay, it's using one thing that they've heard or seen that usually is not even true. Okay, and they pass it on as, guys, this is how you will die. This right here, watch this. This is how you're gonna die because everybody's dying. Because look what's happening, and it's like one thing. Okay, I understand. Yeah, it might be a little story. Yes, true. Unfortunate. I'm very sorry about that, and it's sorry for your loss, whatever. Right? And I'm sorry about that. But I gotta be honest. If you're talking about a policy, a border, a mega problem, and you're gonna stop an interview for a one testimony, come on, bro.
And open border policies are responsible for the death.
It's not a home run. It is not the home run you think it is. It doesn't dong, it doesn't dink, it doesn't do anything. Come on, bro.
Of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening.
Okay, especially after that. Guys, the Haitians are eating the cats, eating the dog. Guys, look at this person. This person is black and they're holding a goose in their hand. That's my proof that they're eating the dogs and the cats because a black person on the street has a geese or goose in his hand. That's case closed. They're gonna eat your dog because of this. Like, what a joke. Shut up.
Right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all
her?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talked to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support.
Yo, Aiko! We can drive to McDonald's if you want to. What? We could drive to McDonald's if you want to. I could stream it. You could just put it on your shit.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Alright, let's go to McDonald's and flick it. Alright, this thing has to.
They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These
easy
guys
physics.
down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock.
Politics, I love that.
I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, And that is
Thanks, of
exactly
course.
what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that
but-
you've had.
no, but let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm.
I
and cross our
gotta keep it a buck. I gotta keep it a buck. I'm just gonna say how it is, okay? Sometimes it doesn't matter what the efforts are and what's being done, right? The only conclusion, the only statement that you could say is, brother, the amount of illegals in the country are fucking disastrous. It's abysmal, okay? And I don't give a fuck the excuses, the blah 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 that they're saying. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna hear it, because at one point the population, they stop being receptive to the why it's not. You can say a billion things. It can be a lot of time when you have a fucking government in power, okay, and nothing's being done, brother. Enough is enough. At one point, it is what it is. And I get it. Trump blocks the bill. Understood. But if you claim to be the fucking the free world, the #1 in the world country, brother, and you can't even fix your own shit from people getting in, bro, just don't bother.
our border illegally.
Sorry, that's
and
my
I will
take on
do
it.
that work as vice president.
I don't give at this point. I'm not even receptive anymore to the copium. The copium, the population is immune to copium anymore now.
I take that work quite serious.
See, brother, say I'm an immigrant, brother. I am a legal alien. I have my papers. I'm a permanent resident. I pay my taxes. The government literally fights for me to stay there and be there as long as possible. Okay, because I pay my taxes. Okay, in the eyes of the government, no disrespect, I'm like 20 times more valuable than you. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
I found it laughable that these are even talking points. You're talking about such a small amount of individuals. Okay. If yes, I don't even think that's bad. I don't give a fuck. That's good. It's good for the people that need it, I guess. It's not a lot of money out of anybody's pockets compared to how much dollars going to other shit. I don't give a fuck. If you give a fuck, you're insane. I don't know what to tell you, brother. Like, I don't give a fuck. It's
yeah, no surgeries happened in this presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election.
Maybe it sets a trend. But these are trends, okay, that still to this day are still fucking so minimal. It's not even a drop in the bucket. It's a microbe in the bucket, okay? But you have fucking millions of people flooding into the fucking country. You got a bunch of fucking problems out there, okay? People can't fucking breathe. and you're gonna try to fucking make people think that the population cares about some fucking inmate, one of fucking 300,000 that wants to get a cock or decocked. I don't give a shit, bitch. You're stupid.
Action that is about
this is
focusing
like such
on
a,
the needs
like,
of the American people.
Jesus.
Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on
it was
plans for
different,
the
but
American
we'll move
people,
on.
I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plan...
I gotta keep it a buck. Oh man, chat, here comes a really bad take. Because I don't like, a lot of her shit is sound. That small business bullshit, I could not give a fuck about it. The fact that it's her main talking point actually annoys me. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about, I don't know what to tell you, I'm sorry.
Will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker,
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people
inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear.
Because time and time again, the usage is shit. Okay? The fucking socialist, commie shit, okay? Of everybody gets a chance, gets a free... Brother. Oh, man, you're gonna make me crash out. I'm not gonna do it.
Clear to those who study.
When you put those in action, they aren't used properly. I don't know what to tell you.
And understand how economic policy works, that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future.
Social spending equals socialism. Oh, I don't give a fuck. It's just a buzzword I'm using. It's just bad. Sorry to tell you. It's just bad. Okay. Stimulus checks. People spent that shit on designer clothes and fucking hot dogs. Okay. Fuck off.
And a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
Holy, tell him.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So, you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but...
People saying money for the economy is good. I definitely understand that, right? It's whatever. It's whatever. I just like sometimes some of this shit just needs to be like just better integrated, right? And so it doesn't go to waste, and that's not like an abused system. It's just that's what it is.
But nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
Okay, well, I mean, if they're polling Fox News people, okay, 1 out of 10 people who take the poll have a working brain with healthy brain cells. So this poll is irrelevant.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
but
people
you're the
have
lever
become.
Of power.
But listen.
Oh, Market University. Sorry about
decade,
that. Sorry.
It is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is a
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, I think the states of life literally right now is just pushing people to be red pilled. What he's saying is not bad. The youth and the overall state of things is legitimately pushing people to be red pilled. And on top of that, whatever that is isn't working, and that causes people to have a natural shift on what is the other thing. Because if this isn't working, people will try the other thing, and the other thing is Donald Trump, and the other thing is Democratic. It is what it is. It's a lack of option. This isn't working. We only have 2 options. Okay, do your thing. That's
an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%? Are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you...
I'm telling you, that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that.
Chad, this guy is something else. This is Fox embodiment. Look at this guy.
He has repeated...
Look at that smirk, dude. He's like the guy at the end of a fucking movie or whatever. The other guy drinks the fucking thing, and he smirks, it's poison, and then he dies, dude.
Many times.
Look at that guy right there.
And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump... You call Donald Trump...
Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are the best two people we can find to run the country. Dumb and dumber.
Bro. Who's next on the fucking ballot, brother? Elon Musk and fucking Mr. Beast, brother? Man, if people had a chance, they'd fucking... Bro, they would elect Kai Cenat as next president. Like, bro, like it's just
now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this: you told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who...
I mean, make no mistake. They knew exactly what the fuck. Come on, bro. This is not... We're not going to do this. They knew exactly what the fuck, how it was going to play out and how it was going to go into the next and play into her hand. I mean, it's not a gotcha moment or whatever, but that's just the truth, though.
Who know him best.
That doesn't make me mad.
Including leaders of our national security community have all spoken out.
The guy can't make 10 steps without looking like he's doing poo-poo fucking diaper. Like, come on, bruh.
Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate.
I will probably vote
so
for
that
Kamala,
is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which
Russia.
is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
Iran? Really? Iran? Okay, stop. Okay, stop. Brother. Who do you think watches as this whole thing unfolds? Everybody's doing all this thing. Bomb this, bomb that. Brother. China is fucking quadrupling down on running the fucking super hardcore Optimus Prime sweatshop. Okay? Making his shit. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? These guys are balling the fuck out. Are you kidding me, dude?
You would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or...
Iran has nukes, brother. The minute they launch a singular nuke, it is GG. It is GG, okay? These nukes aren't going nowhere. What the fuck are you talking about?
In October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do.
Bro, Iran has about the same nuclear capability as North Korea, bro. North Korea, brother, the population cannot drink fucking drinkable water. Bro, they gotta pedal to get the electricity. They don't have the internet, motherfucker. Bro, they live in the fucking caves, yo. What the fuck are you talking about?
To defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself.
It's a metaphor for how backed up they are. Like, brother.
To be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those proxies were getting funded by
my commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually.
Iran oil revenue as in billions. Okay.
Put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked.
So what?
Where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches. Not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
Well, I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what the administration did and say,
bro, what is that word salad? I don't know what the fuck did, bro. I don't think she said anything.
And think differently. Madam Vice President, they're rapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more to say,
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why we invited you here.
I invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them.
Bro, it is a word sound, though. That is a word sound, I'll tell you.
What I intend to do about small businesses, what I do.
And that's why we invite
What do you call it? Okay. Yapping, malarkey, yapathon, word spaghetti, SpaghettiOs.
I don't know what you want to do. 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President, they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News.
I don't even know what you want on a Fox News interview. That shit's dog shit. Fox News is fucking dog shit. Sorry. Dog shit trash. Even them are trying to transition into a network without fucking Carlson or whatever the fuck his name is, right? And they're struggling. They got this guy saying some dog shit off the test. This shit's trash. Tucker Carlson was the last bit of credibility that they had for the right-wing Andes. It is what it is. And they're trying to be more like politically cool and all, and be more like towards that they look like center, you know, they're still right to appeal to other audiences. So they cut the fucking Carlson Cocker guy. Like, I don't have to tell you, shit's fucking dog shit.